Now, speaking of holding public officials accountable, the latest in the former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan case has the convicted felon seeking an appeal of his case to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, Madigan was found guilty of 10 felony counts, including bribery, conspiracy, and wire fraud, stemming from a pay-to-play bribery scheme that he ran for multiple years. A jury found Madigan used his position to reward political allies with no-show jobs and beneficial contracts in exchange for favorable legislation. Now, in the new filing to the U.S. Supreme Court, Madigan's appealing for multiple reasons, asking the top court to grant the petition to hear his case. He argues that for an official to be guilty of bribery, they must personally intend to break the law, rather than just knowing that a company is trying to win their favor. He also argues he didn't provide clear promises to take official actions, like recommending a person for a job to an incoming governor, or which the appeal describes as normal political action someone may take. Now, Madigan's currently serving a 7.5-year sentence in federal prison. Justices could announce a decision to that case, or not, in October. This comes as another Illinois state legislator, Democratic State Representative Carol Ammons, faces federal charges, alongside her husband, Champaign County Clerk Aaron Ammons. Now, they both have pleaded not guilty and have surrendered their passports. Separately, a special investigative committee set up at the Illinois House, preparing to meet to do their own review of that situation. Very similar to a special investigating committee that looked into the accusations surrounding former House Speaker Michael Madigan. Now, joining us to discuss this further is Illinois State Representative Adam Niemerg. He is a member of that special investigating committee. Representative, thanks for taking time with the states. Why should taxpayers pay attention to the latest in Illinois' ethics scandals?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on, Greg, and you're looking good as usual. I apologize. I'm roofing a lot today, so I just got off a roof and sitting in somebody's driveway, kind of doing this, flying by the seat of my pants. But as far as anybody keeping track of what should happen in the state of Illinois, it's very important because we have a culture of corruption that's been going on for many, many years here in Illinois. You talked about Mike Madigan, you have Blagojevich hearings, and now you have Carol Ammons. This situation is very real, and the U.S. Attorney's Office would not be bringing these charges against Representative Ammons if they didn't feel that there was call to do so. So it's up to us, the folks on the Special Investigation Committee, to decide if these charges warrant another committee for disciplinary action. So we'll be weighing each individual charge. We'll be taking a vote on each individual charge, and we start those hearings on August 6th.
And that's coming up just around the corner, Representative. But it seems that there's been some efforts to try to delay things, even amongst the Ammons camp there. What do you think about that? Is it important to just have this as completely separate from the federal case?
I think it's really important to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, being on this committee, making sure that we're doing the investigation that needs to be done when it comes to this committee. And we need to be looking at the United States Attorney's Office and see what their investigation is going to do, what they're looking forward to doing. At the first hearing, we're going to be issuing a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office, just kind of outlining asking what their investigation is, what they're looking at, what they're looking into, because we read the counts and we just want to make sure that everything is done properly. But it's very important that this be done. It's very important that each vote be taken on these accusations, because if you read through the U.S. Attorney's accusations, the list of everything, of all the charges, this is really serious stuff. We're talking about campaign finance allegations. We're talking about moving grant money allegations. Again, these are all allegations. We're going to be looking to each individual charge, but it's very important. As far as, they're trying to kick the can down the road, they're not going to be able to do that with this council that I am on. We're planning this out. We're having these meetings, and we're going to make sure that we do our due diligence in a timely manner, and this does not drag on for a long period of time. It's very important that we do this investigation and find out exactly what took place.
Do you feel there seems to be a change of, I guess, the culture of wanting to clean things up between what we're going to see start next week with the Ammons Special Investigating Committee versus what happened back, in 2020 in December, where there was a special investigating committee created to look into the accusations swirling around Mike Madigan? I mean, Democrats back then, Representative, having covered that closely, they were always kind of taking an approach of, well, let's let the federal prosecutors handle what they got to handle and now it seems that people are wanting to get to the bottom of what happened with Carol Ammons.
Absolutely. People are wanting answers. They want to know what took place. There's been a lot of conversation in Champaign County for years when it comes to Representative Ammons, and it's time that we have this investigation and figure out what's going on. Each representative on this commission is going to have to take a vote. It's a 3-3 commission, 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, but at the end of the day, a Democrat's going to have to decide where they want to vote on this, and as well as Republicans, if they think through a preponderance of evidence or something that we can have to move forward. But I think people are tired of this. They're fed up with the culture of corruption. I mean, you talked about Mike Madigan. We talk about Blagojevich. We talk about Carol Ammons. Folks, we also need to talk about Chris Welch's inability to handle Harry Benton's sexual assault allegations, and he's since resigned. And we're going to see that report come out to see exactly what the speaker did. You have Democrats asking Speaker Welch, "What were you doing? Why were you doing it?" There's a lot of issues going on the Democrat side of the aisle. And we need to get to the bottom of this culture of corruption because this has been going on in Illinois far too long. And unfortunately, it's par for the course.
Representative, I want to talk about the political ramifications with it being an election year. But before that, just the kind of trajectory of what happens next. Special Investigating Committee does their thing. And then what kind of consequence could there be with an additional committee against Ammons?
Okay, so the additional committee, the way that this process works is there was an initial report that was filed asking for this committee to be founded for these allegations to be investigated. Those individuals that signed that report cannot be on the Special Investigation Committee, and then the individuals on the Special Investigation Committee cannot be on the additional committee. What will happen is we will take a vote on each allegation against Representative Ammons. If there is majority vote on individual allegations to move this forward, there'll be a special disciplinary committee that will be implemented with other representatives that weren't a part of the committee I'm on or a part on the initial report that that made this happen, that made the commission that I sit on happen. What will happen is that next committee will meet, and then they will decide any disciplinary actions that need to take place from the Illinois General Assembly for Representative Ammons.
Well, again, it is an election year. You've got this story that's stacked on top of other stories. I mean, you talk about Martin Sandoval, you talk about Louis Arroyo, you talk about a string of others over the past 15 years, let alone even further. How should voters handle these ethical questions this year heading into November?
Well, they need to take a look at their representatives and ask themselves, is this somebody that's on the up and up? Is this somebody that I want to have representing me? They need to decide whether or not this culture of corruption needs to continue to go on. Because let's be honest about this. These folks get caught. They'd keep doing it if they weren't getting caught. And I don't think that the Democrat Party really cares too much about stopping the culture of corruption. And the reason I say that is because the proof is in the pudding. They haven't done anything legislatively wise to stop these kinds of things from happening. They let these things go on. Again, Harry Benton went on for years. Carol Ammons, we're going to look at this preponderance of evidence. I'm not going to say anything until I have the evidence, till we go through the committee. But again, there's been conversations about this going on for years. Mike Madigan, 50 years. Rod Blagojevich selling a Senate seat, everything that you just named, it goes on and on. It seems like every week, and the summers are supposed to be, even in election year, there's a lot going on, but the summers are supposed to be where folks get back to their districts, they start working their districts, they get in their districts, they talk to their folks that they work for, they get back to their normal jobs, like I'm doing, climbing on roofs on a daily basis, getting into my district. But it seems like the summers are full of corruption in the state of Illinois, and that has to stop.
Representative, another story that you've got eyes on, a federal judge ruling that Illinois' policies allowing some students in the U.S. illegally to qualify for in-state tuition, saying it's a conflict with federal law. Tell us about this policy and where you stand on that judge's ruling.
Well, I think there's a lot that the Illinois Democrats, Governor J.B. Pritzker, Spreco Welch, the Attorney General Cromwell Rule, they differ a lot on federal law, and they just try to get away with whatever they can get away with. I fully support, that federal ruling saying this cannot be implemented. I debated this bill on the House floor. We spent $3.4 billion on illegal immigrants here in the state of Illinois. We have $420 million in this year's budget, and it's just gotten out of control. We had a $1 billion tax increase. Governor Pritzker's budget has gone up 40 to 45%. He has $77 billion that he has cost the people of the state of Illinois through 63 tax and fee increases. The numbers don't lie, but yet we keep spending money on illegal immigrants. And this bill was allowing for illegal immigrants better tuition rates than citizens of this state. Think about that for a moment. The Illinois Democrats are prioritizing illegal immigrants over citizens of this country. So if you're somebody in Missouri and you want to come to Illinois, you're going to be paying more in tuition than an illegal immigrant. That has to stop.
Now, critics say that the ruling it could lead to reduced college access and enrollment. What are your thoughts?
Well, we need to boost enrollment the right way. We need to boost enrollment with folks that live here. First off, students that are residents of the state of Illinois. I'm a huge proponent. If we've got our tax dollars, my tax dollars, your tax dollars, and this is not small dollars, folks. These are big dollars going to these universities. We need to be prioritizing Illinois citizens to go to these colleges, not illegal immigrants. And if we can't boost our numbers the right way, if we can't have our, collegiate system flourish under folks that are here as citizens, we've got a major problem.
Illinois State Representative Adam Niemerg, greatly appreciate your time today, and I'll let you get back up onto that hot roof to finish that job so you can get back to the other job. Greatly appreciate your time. We'll talk again soon. This is The States.